Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit that subscribe button if you're new so you don't miss any of our great football content this season. A game that was hard to watch, but I watched almost all of it. Detroit 52, Bears 21. Outside of Roma Dunze for the Bears, not much worked. And by the way, the Lions, they go for it. So not kicking field goals, that's just who they are. That's Dan Campbell. So you got to get over that, Bears fan. But I got to tell you, I watched that game today, and after the first drive, take the first drive out, last couple of weeks, Bears have looked fine. It's a timing offense, and Caleb Williams does not appear to see the field once he's off script, and it just becomes ad-libbing. It's backyard football. I don't think this is going to work. I don't. It's the second week in a row. The first series, again, they dial up. They got about 8 to 10 plays. It looks fine. It's very tight. But how many plays can you script? And then they go off script, and Caleb doesn't see the field particularly well. And then he's flushed out of the pocket. He made 6, 7, 8 throws today, rolling to his right. He just kind of threw it up for grabs. A couple were picked, a couple were caught. But I'm looking at my notes here. And I just keep writing. They're ad-libbing. Again, ad-libbing. There's just nothing about it except Roma Dunze. You'd feel good. By the way, Luther Burden, Missouri. Did he play? Did he suit up? Loveland, the kid from Michigan. Cortland Loveland. Or is it Loveland Cortland? I forget. The Michigan Michigan tight end.
He had no catches. Zero.
So, they have weapons. They've drafted good players. They can't get them the ball. I think this thing could go sideways real fast.
You know what I wrote down? I watched 2 documentaries in the last week, Billy Joel and Charlie Sheen. And whenever they get married, you could see the divorce coming from a mile away, especially with Charlie. And in this situation, I've been saying it from – it doesn't just speak for quarterbacks. In the NFL, you could be a talented player, and Caleb, to me, is a major question mark. But we have seen Hall of Fame guys get with the wrong coordinator and it not work. Scheme is in basketball, whatever plays you're running, if I'm a great player, you're going to make it work and I'm not going anywhere. That's not the way football works. Then you factor in, like you said, there was an interception he threw today. There was classic USC. He rolls to his right, hero ball, throws an awful pick. It leads to a touchdown. I can't remember if it was 14-14 at the time or 21-14. But it was one of those plays. They show Ben Johnson getting really mad. That cannot happen, right? Obviously, there are going to be plays where nothing's there. The Lions are going to be hard to beat at home. I like the Lions a lot today in this game, but I didn't expect to see 50-20 or whatever the final score was. But this is a marriage that is not meant to be. Their styles do not mesh up. And we have seen time and time again that these coordinators with quarterbacks, when I do not pick you, here's the thing with Bo Nix, who threw a bad second half pick. He played an excellent first half, but Sean Payton is tied to him. That's his guy. He loved him, right? There is that power of when I draft you, when I believed in you from before you become an NFL player is powerful. It's not. Ben Johnson took this job, maybe intrigued by Caleb, but you see through 2 weeks his mannerisms on the sideline with his face, and this wasn't Eberflus game. This was pretty embarrassing. It's not all Caleb's fault. This was not he was worse last week, but this is not this. The Bears are a joke, Colin. You and I have been talking. The organization. I wrote down Ryan Poles. Is this roster the most overrated roster we've heard in that last couple of years? Listen, the Lions are missing players from last year. And that looked like Georgia playing Cal Poly or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny. I remember before Caleb got drafted, a good friend of mine is Steve Keim. And I said, what do you make of jumping in the stands for Caleb Williams with his mom and crying and the fingernail polish? And Steve's not a real judgmental guy. And Steve was like, don't love it. He goes, if a guy's talented, he's talented. He goes, but he's a very emotional player. And he goes, and Steve has taught me this through the years, quarterback's one of those positions where you really need somebody that's even keel and puts out fires. Football's an incredibly emotional game. And as your teammates are getting emotional and the coaches are getting emotional, when you're on, Tom Brady loved to celebrate, but in the moment of a game, Tom was very even keel. And Caleb's you can see his sideline demeanor. He plays with a ton of emotion, and he gets really amped up. He also loses. I think sometimes Caleb loses confidence when I watch him. Like his accuracy is all over the map. So that feels like a confidence and mechanics issue. And I don't know. I just look at it and I think this coach wants a certain quarterback stylistically, probably much more like Sean Payton, where you can augment the timing game with, I mean, Bo Nix and Sean. They move the pocket a lot for Bo Nix, as you should. But I sat there today and my notes are all negative on Chicago.
There was a couple plays today and I'll take the L on Jalen Hurts. I never thought in a million years he would be a functional NFL quarterback, let alone a Super Bowl champion. And we can debate where he ranks or whatever, but there were a couple plays today where Spags brings the entire house and he sits in there to the last second and he throws his one-on-one matchup and he's going to get just mollywopped. And one, he hit the Smith and I think he missed another one, but it's just, this guy just kind of knows what he's doing. And he's a athletic ad lib in theory, but he can play in big spots. Caleb, sometimes there's pressure and there's nothing you can do, you got to kind of scramble. There are times where it's just like he's just taken off. For years, Mark Schlereth was one of the only guys saying, everyone acts like these offensive linemen in Seattle suck. Maybe some of it's Russell Wilson, right? And remember, he would just run into sacks. And you watch him today, when that head goes down and you just scramble into guys, that is quarterback 101 that the coaches hate. Right, head down, and his head goes down, and then he moves all the time. Like Mahomes, whether he misses or makes the throw, his head's always up, moving around. Jalen Hurts, head always. Even Kyler. Kyler's head is up. Now, he scrambles probably sometimes at the wrong time, but his head's up looking to throw. Caleb just looks in the ground, and then it becomes there's no way this is sustainable. Obviously, you start losing like this, but Ben Johnson's not going down with the ship with this guy. Why? Because Sean Payton will go down with Bo Nix, right? That Andy Reid will go down with Mahomes. I'm not comparing those two situations, but my point is I'm all in on this guy. You can't convince me after a couple weeks that Ben Johnson is going to be all in with this guy for 17 games.
Listen,
it's not possible. They're clearly the worst team in there. I mean, the Packers look like a juggernaut. We saw the Lions. Turns out they're not as bad. Why? Because the Packers are really good. And we'll see how Minnesota looks tonight. But clearly, Minnesota's they just beat the Bears. So I mean, they're just a better operation. The Bears are in major trouble, Colin.
Yeah, and there's a reason in the preseason that Ben Johnson made a point. I mean, remember, we came on this podcast and we said he was glowing with Tyson Bagent. He's so smart. Man, he's having a great camp. And about a week later, they signed him to a very big backup contract. I think Caleb gets one more start. And if it's ugly, can Ben come out and go, listen, Caleb's going to be fine. You sell that to the media. But he needs a week off. He needs to get some stuff right. We need to figure out a way to get this ship going. I could see one more start. I really could. And then you go to Tyson Bagent.
I would say you're crazy because once you bench him, you're done. But we just saw last year, and who knows? I mean, Bryce Young is any good or not. I have my reservations at this point. But Panthers just did it, and he was the #1 overall pick as well. So there's precedent in the league of like, hey, you can bench a guy, bring him back. What are the Bears going to do? Lose more games? I mean, what are we talking about at this point? So yeah, I would say moving forward, everything's on the table. And if you're Ben Johnson, like you clearly don't care about feelings. You know, the one thing I didn't quite realize, he's wired. You know, he's not like a loosey-goosey offensive coach. You know, like Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay, always smiling. Like he feels more like a Shanahan son, like kind of angry, never smiles.
Yeah.
Like this is just. It's way I bet against it to jump from the jump. It's way uglier than I thought. And today was like a referendum, not just on Caleb, the entire organization. I mean, Ryan Poles, the roster.
And here's the other thing. I've watched Penix. I would make a bet now that he can play. I've watched J.J. McCarthy to some degree, and it helps that he has Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, but he'll be able to play. Bo Nix can play. Jaden's a star. Drake May doesn't have a ton of pocket presence. But again, today, he moves the chains. I don't think he's great. I think he needs another year. I mean, that's what they said about Drake May when he came in. He is unrefined. But it is very possible from what I've seen, and it's not close, we're going to have 5 hits and 1 miss. And the number one guy is going to be the worst quarterback in the class.
I think the thing with Caleb Williams, yeah, I mean it's sure headed that way right now. I mean he's a disaster. I don't care what stats you give me last year. 'Cause I think when you have that great of an arm, and Caleb has a fantastic arm,
Oh,
I think sometimes you, and which is human nature, maybe you struggle to develop other parts of your game, and the touch on his ball, to me, that's glaring. Like he just has no touch on the ball, and he's one of those guys that feels like he really struggles to kind of throw a softball, a changeup, because watching him play, did you realize he was this good of an athlete in college? Like I knew he could scramble around, but he moves really well. If he had
and
time,
he's thick in person when you see him, his head, his shoulders. He's 6 feet tall. He feels when you're around him like he's 6'4". He is thick and powerful.
and wasn't that the thing with young Russ Wilson? It's like, wait, hey, he's got a huge arm, throws a great deep ball, but Russ had a lot of touch, and maybe it was that was he a second baseman? He had some feel
Yeah.
to him. And you watch Caleb, like he could not play second base. That ball would be Chuck Knobloch all over the place.
Right.
And that to me is where you get the Ben Johnson stuff. Is like, well, a huge part of his offense and his entire scheme is touch plays. Look at Jared Goff today. A lot of it, I mean, he threw a couple bombs, but it's a lot of just get the ball out of your hands, couple steps, throw it across the middle, hit guys in stride. Even if you miss a little bit, throw it behind, give him a catchable ball. Caleb throws some balls that even Randy Moss or Jerry Rice in their prime would have a problem catching.
Yeah, he rolls out a lot. I think you're the one point you made that I really agree with is that he just puts his head down and he is now a running back. And then it's just not working. Again, Roma Dunze is a very good player, but where's Luther Burden, this kid from Missouri? I mean, Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan. Where are they? I mean, it's just you've got to use. I mean, I'm watching all these. Bo Nix is getting everybody touches for the Denver Broncos. Franklin, the Oregon kid, Mims, everybody's the tight ends. I mean, he's spraying the ball around. Everybody's getting touches. I mean, in Chicago, it's like if you're the GM, you got to be watching this thing and, bro, these are good players. So I'm almost interested in watching Tyson Bagent. I think offensively, I think they actually have some skill, and they're not. Caleb's not equipped to get him the ball.
Well, look at, and I'm sure we'll talk about this game, is the thing that stood out to me. Now, whether they got lucky to win the game, we could probably argue all day long. Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, in a perfect world, you would get a star quarterback. But if you just get me a point guard that can get me double-digit assists, even if he can't score. Now, and Daniel Jones actually is playing pretty well this year.
Yeah.
But they got good players.
Yes.
They got 3 or 4 wide receivers. They got this top 10, or I guess he was the 15th.
Warren, the tight end.
He was making plays all day. They have a star running back, and you're watching a guy just distribute, and you're like, this team's pretty physically gifted on the skill positions, right? But you didn't feel that with Anthony Richardson because balls are skipping, he's running, he's getting sacked. And Daniel Jones, just get it to the guys. They
scored on their
making plays.
They were 10 for 10 in their first 10 possessions this year. And to your point, their roster is excellent. I don't think Indy's a great team, but it's a prime example is they have a good roster and they're using every player on their roster offensively. Every single one is contributing.